Cliff is the first leader we're going to try and take down today, which means Shadow, Shiny, Lileep and the camera falling over, do excuse me. But how do we take down Sierra these days? However, Cresselia, we want low attack, high defense and HP. So we're probably going to get a 15-2-4. Yes, hello and welcome in everybody. Hope that you're good, and the Team Rocket takeover, or rather as it's dubbed, Adventure Week taken over, has begun here today, and it runs until August the 12th, I believe it's 11:59 PM your local time. Let's see if that's accurate, but first things first, this actually isn't an event exclusive thing because this will be available as a bonus during the World Championships event as well, which is obviously the 16th of August onwards until like the 22nd of August or so. So we get a double dose of being able to do this month, and make sure you do this on your Shadow Pokemon. You can TM frustration away. It's about once a season that you're able to do that, and my level 50, 96% Shadow Entei very much deserved it from those Rocket raids. God knows how long. When was that? Bellsprout Community Day, that's a throwback to April. New Rocket Wave means dirty camera lens. New Rocket Wave means new Shadow Shinies from the team leaders, and in my view, this wave is a little bit of a letdown. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. So, Sierra has the returning Carvanha Shadow Shiny. Then Cliff, I believe, has Lileep as a Shadow Shiny, and finally Arlo has Anorith. I guess A and A, kind of. Those are not amazing Shadow Pokemon and not particularly useful either. However, Carvanha does sit in a nice potential there, which is why I'm going to say Sierra is probably the leader to go for the next 3 months, because this is a long shot. In fact, can I shoot it from this far back? You could get a purified Shundo. Carvanha, if you get a 13-13-13 IV or higher Shadow Shiny, or even just a regular Shadow, you could purify it to be a Hundo or a Shundo purified Hundo, which is great for Sharpedo as a Mega. So obviously Mega Sharpedo will be a thing in the game at some point in the future, don't know when. I'm clutching at some straws here. However, from my standpoint, there is one new Shadow Pokemon in the Grunts which is making serious waves, and it's this one. Shadow Timburr can be found in the fighting type Grunts. It's alongside Machop and Makuhita, which is kind of the C tier of things. But Timburr, or rather Conkeldurr when you evolve it, this isn't a terribly good one. I got this one at a Pokestop when I was editing the podcast last night at about midnight. So, by the way, go and check out episode 182. It's available to download now. Find it on all podcast platforms. We've just completed the edit on my side of episode 183. It's a good one. Shadow Conkeldurr is going to be insanely good as a fighter. If I'm not wrong, and I hope it hasn't despawned, not only do we have balloons every 2 hours, which is wonderful, but this has stayed here. Fingers crossed for Timburr. You can let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. It's a, dear God. Well, we're going to have to defeat some Grunts and stuff because, of course, there is Giovanni returning with new research. A lot of us thought it could be the Weather Trio completion with Shadow Rayquaza. It's not. Now we've got Shadwo Cresselia, which anybody who doesn't do the old PvP side of things is going to roll their eyes at, which is i.e. me. Anybody who does GBL, that's probably quite a solid one. I have no idea if that's actually true fact or whatever, but I'm sure there's a PvP outlet there who could provide the accurate information. The aim for today is to go and battle Giovanni, get that Shadwo Cresselia, and just try and get some Shadow Shiny luck, because there is the return of like Shadow Omanyte in the Water Grunts. The normal Grunts still have some sparkles, and there's a couple of other ones dotted around too, which is great. That is so dead. That's so dead. Here is a special research. We have to purify one and catch a few more. What's our rocket balloon going to be? It's an Arlo. I'm not going to waste the rocket radar because, of course, at some point during that special research, we're going to have to battle one of each of the team leaders. So this is a perfect candidate to purify to a Hundo. Let's actually just purify the Makuhita that we caught just a moment ago. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Are you excited for Shadow Timburr? Are you excited for the new Shadow Shinies? Are you going to be chasing them? Or does this not add too much to Adventure Week? Because this is Adventure Week Part 2, essentially. Coinciding with this Shadow Rocket event is also Shadow Lugia Raid Weekend, which is happening Saturday and Sunday. If you don't have that Shadow Shiny, best of luck. Hopefully you can go and get so Kabuto. Wonderful. There's one other bit of news which Zoe 2 Dots opened her video with, and it reminded me this morning to actually mention it. Somebody on Reddit, and I forget the user, thank you to them for kind of doing this research. There are caps in Pokemon Go, i.e. the catch cap, the spin cap, etc. It turns out there's actually a Rocket Grunt cap, which is how many Grunts you can encounter. I mean, like, click it and see what the text says and then click off within an hour, and it's 160. Now, you are going to be hard pushed to legitimately click 160 Grunts within an hour. It's not beyond reason to be honest, if you're just checking the grunts that you want and you're in a very condensed Pokestop area. We're not going to have that problem here, to be honest, but just bear that in mind, is that you could potentially get your account banned for 7 days. That's a 7-day ban, not a soft ban, like, you know, oh, you can't spin a stop. Banned for 7 days because you checked 160 or more grunts in an hour. Which, does it really matter if somebody who, let's say, is bending the rules slightly is able to encounter a few more Shadow Pidgey than I am? I don't personally care as a legit player. I found another fighting grunt, so I mean, fingers crossed for a Timburr. That would be ideal. But to be honest, 2 of the 3 for the fighting grunt are actually good. Machop is incidentally at this stop actually, but that can be Shadow Shiny, and it's still a really good Shadow to chase. And obviously Timburr is just insane. Makahita's less desirable, but to be honest, Shadow Hariyama is about as good as regular Machamp, so it's still okay. Grunt defeated, and this makes it 4 of 6, I think. There's a couple more at the Broadway. We're going to be chasing the rocket stops, just going around like crazy. It's not green, and it's not good either. I think it's 281 would be your hundo for that. After a bit of walking around, we have ourselves some trash Cyndaquil, which, yes, is 3k dust to purify, but that is going to tick off the 5 purifications finally. So stage 3 is incoming, which Rocket leaders to defeat, and we've got to find 1 of each. I'm also running the Sunsteel Strike Adventure effect, which works a bit like an incense, bringing in the sunny Pokemon kind of thing, which is a really good way to get yourself some Tyrant encounters during this event, and you can do the same with Moongeist Beam for Amora. Thank you to whoever it was in the comments who told me that on the Adventure Week video, because I've given it a go, and I like it. So there we go, 3 components, some Great Balls and some Pineapples, which are honestly going to be thrown away. So here we go, an encounter! By the way, Omanyte can be Shadow Shiny, it's now back in the Water-type grunts. But here we go, we've got to defeat each one of the Rocket leaders, which means I have my Rocket Radar in the bag here. How are we situated? We shouldn't struggle necessarily. I know there's a Sierra back at the home cluster, shall we say. Leekduck, and I'll link the article in the pinned comments below on this video. If you want to see what the full Rocket lineup list is like, you can go and check it out below and see where the Shadow Shiny potential is, if there's anything potentially you're interested in going for to get for Shadow decks or purified stuff, etc. Including what the team leader lineups are like. And having looked at the team leader lineups, some of their middle Pokemon in slot number 2 are looking a little bit irritating to deal with. There's a lot of conflicting typings. Beldum has been announced as the Community Day Classic, which is August the 18th, so next Sunday. Get yourself a Steel type Mega prepared. You should be able, if you don't have a Steel or Psychic type Mega at tier 3 already, you should have enough time to be able to get it up to tier 2, I think. Grind for the XL, that is the best Community Day Classic we could have asked for, and I'd arguably say better than any Community Day so far this year. Of course, Adventure Week still has the regular quests and kind of the regular spawns. Now, Walpole is a Carvanha nest, so maybe we can boost the shiny encounters on that front. So Shadow Shiny Anorith has definitely been confirmed, finally. Thanks Pokemon Go Hub for the info link there. Cliff is the first leader we're going to try and take down today, which means Shadow Shiny Lileep and the camera falling over, do excuse me. Now popping onto Leekduck, this is where it's going to be very useful to find out what the leader lineup is like. So, Lileep slot number 1 for Cliff, then either Kanto Marowak, Kingdra, or Aerodactyl. I'm going to say bring in a fighting type because Lileep is weak to fighting, as is Tyranitar and Cradily in the final slot. I would suggest maybe an ice type because all 3 of the middle slots should be weak to ice. I'm not sure about Kingdra because it's Water Dragon, which is really annoying. An ice type Pokemon would also suit Crobat quite nicely. And then the final one, probably a Fairy, just to be safe. So let's pick our team. We usually have a Lucario in the back, which we can switch into, but it's time to say goodbye to the Yveltal. I'm actually going to bring in Gardevoir, just to see, because it has Charm and Dazzling Gleam, which is obviously Fairy moves, but Triple Axle is a seriously good Ice-type attack. If you can second move a Gardevoir, maybe a good call to go for, but go and slowly start taking this thing down. I did TM Force Palm onto my Lucario, so Lileep is not the difficult one to take down here. It's the middle part of the lineup, which is really annoying. Cliff usually ends off with Tyranitar, so your safe bet with a fighting type is quite good. The defense and attack boost is no match for us. Marowak is going to be our next one, which means we can kind of potentially just use the fighting type. Lucario is always a really good play within the Rocket Grunt stuff, because of the fast charging power-up punch. And most of you should have a Lucario these days after the Mega Raid Day, to be honest. There we go. Marowak in the bin, and the final one is indeed Tyranitar, which now is double weak to fighting, and look how quickly that's going down. So, one Mon. It won't be that easy with the likes of Kingdra, because Kingdra should be resistant to the fighting types, but one of the 3 leaders done. This has Shadow Shiny potential Lileep, not one we're going to be chasing, but will it be the first check? It's not, unfortunately, and 254, again, Lileep, even the Shadow variant, fairly useless. Is it a random Shadow Hundo? My 3rd ever? It's PvP. That's Cliff defeated. Now we need to go and find Sierra and Arlo, which is quite a few leaders dotted around, so let's go and find them. Okay, next to the pond is an Arlo, which is fantastic, only a stone's throw away from where we once were. So to take this one down, let's have a little look at the lineup. So Arlo has Shadow Anorith, kind of fitting, and then definitely going to want some form of electric type to take down either Gyarados or Crobat. And then it's his final lineup that's really puzzling and tricky to deal with, because you kind of need a fighter to deal with stuff, but then you need a fire, but then you need something else. More often than not, Arlo, maybe you know this, as an experienced Team Rocket battler, usually has Scizor at the tail end of the lineup. So I'm going to recommend possibly bringing in a fire type somewhere. We've got Giratina, all kinds of stuff in here, so we're going to switch this about. We're going to put Lucario in slot number 1, and we need an electric type. Let's bring in a Xurkitree. I think let's keep the Reshiram in there just to see how we do. Probably not the most optimum team, but let's find out how we do. Quite a few spammy moves to deal with. It's not super effective damage, but it should be fine. Shield 1 done. Steelix. Oh, see, if it has ground moves, that's going to be problematic versus our Lucario. In fact, going to be problematic versus our electric type. It is weak to fire, but it's also super effective against fire if it has the ground moves. Let's hope it gives some kind of damage output. It could be worse, I guess. Switch into fire, save the Lucario on a little bit of health, and yeah, super effective fire should be okay to deal with. Now we have to find out slot number 3, which is Scizor in this case, which is a bit safe, so we can toast that with fire, but versus Gardevoir, we may have been in a bit of a pickle with that one. We really needed a Ghost, a Dark, or maybe a Steel type versus that thing. But down goes Arlo. Obviously, you can pick up the 12km eggs from the Rocket leaders, which these days have a lot more shiny potential than this Anorith. 322, again, that's probably going to be the only Arlo I take down in the next 3 months, because I will not be chasing the Gen 3 Fossil Shadow Shinies. Dead 2-star. Fantastic. Right, we do need to get some more grunts to get a Rocket Radar in and find ourselves a Sierra. And after half a lap of the park, we have a Sierra, so nice to find all 3 of them fairly quick and easy. But how do we take down Sierra these days? Well, this is Sierra's lineup. Carvanha is in there, which has a multitude of weaknesses. I personally recommend trying to get something with a spammy electric move, like maybe a Xurkitree, or something that learns Discharge. You could run a grass type with Razor Leaf on it just to do the pure damage, but one of those Pokemon is going to be key because Milotic is obviously weak to grass and electric as well, and it's actually a bit of an annoying lineup because, in a way, you kind of want a fairy on the team to deal with Sableye, which only has 1 weakness, and Houndoom is weak to fairy types as well. But then you've got Ampharos, and you've got Nidoqueen, and you've got Alakazam in the mix. Sierra typically ends with Houndoom, so we're going to run off of that basis. What was our previous team? I am going to bring... This might be a mad move. Actually, no, it is a mad move. Let's not do that. I'm going to bring in a Togekiss to take down potentially a Sableye in the middle. I'm going to throw a Mewtwo in there for just some pure damage with some Psy Strike and Thunderbolt action. So let's just see how we do on this one. We're going to have to swap into the Xurkitree pretty quickly. This thing is a Shadow Shiny. The last time it was in the rotation, I think, was February 2021. It could have been that long. I remember I actually got one as a Shadow Shiny on my birthday when I was hitting level 50. Carvanha done and dusted. We didn't even need to use Discharge, but it is Milotic in the middle slot, which is perfect for our Xurkitree. 1 shield down. There we go. 2nd shield burnt. Now we should just be able to build up a Discharge and just take it down. How much damage? Oh, Waterfall on the Shadow version of Milotic does do some damage versus you, so you're going to have to spam that Xurkitree. To be honest, quite a lot of you should have a Xurkitree or 2 because of the global Go Fest that's just gone. And of course, it's Alakazam as the final mon. Alakazam as a Shadow is pretty glassy, so it shouldn't be too difficult to take that one down. Obviously, Alakazam being weak to Ghost, Dark, and Bug as a pure Psychic type, but as you saw there, we took it down pretty easily. And we can just use Shadow Mewtwo to kind of just do some damage versus it. It didn't even need to necessarily use a charge move. But to be fair, that is a Shadow level 50. Not everybody's going to have that. Find an Alakazam, perhaps a Ghost or Dark type Pokemon might suit better. But that's all 3 leaders taken down, people. Shadow Shiny Carvanha. No, not Shadow Shiny, unfortunately. 209. This is the one of the 3 that's possibly more worth going for, but that is very, very slim pickings, to be honest, because... God. It is a windy day. I apologise if there's any wind interference. Dead 1 star. Love that. The little bit of XP that you get in our Super Rocket Radar. Now, personally, I don't recommend doing this and claiming a Super Rocket Radar unless you're a completionist like me and want to get one of every single Shadow Legendary. We have to find Giovanni now, which, to be honest, should be coming in the 12 o'clock balloon, so we perfectly timed that. If you want to save the Rocket Radar and not complete it to get the Shadwo Cresselia, make sure you don't go past stage 1. That's the key thing. Do not complete stage 1 at all. Leave it in your research stack until the next Shadow Giovanni swap over happens. Unfortunately, I don't think the next one's going to be overly good either. Let's get us out of the wind. I'm thinking potentially what could come next in the next 3 rotations could be the Shadow Lake trio. Mesprit, Uxie and Azelf are all pretty terrible Pokemon, but they fit the bill perfectly of getting them done and dusted and out of the way. So we have found Giovanni, the final decoy check of Walpole before I bit the bullet and just took the balloon instead. So Giovanni, how do you take this guy down? Well, obviously the first slot is going to be Persian, so a fighting type Lucario is going to be big play. Cresselia is obviously pure psychic, so a Ghost or a Dark. I would say personally go for a Ghost, and we're going to go for Giratina Origin Form because of the Ominous Wind, which is a very quick charging Ghost type move. So right here at the top, you can see it's quite a mixed bag of what you could potentially get. Now, I'm going to say, if you have a Lucario with Power Up Punch and you get through the Persian, you should theoretically be able to get through the Kangaskhan as well. You'll have burnt the shields, you'll be able to deal damage, it's a normal type as well. However, versus Kingdra or Honchkrow, probably a Fairy, because Honchkrow being a Dark type weak to Fairy and Kingdra Water Dragon also weak to Fairy. What kind of Fairy we want to go for is up for grabs because Enamorus is top tier, but very glassy. Gardevoir is part Psychic type, so weak to the Dark moves on potential Honchkrow. Let's go for a good old Togekiss and see how we do versus Giovanni. Now, you can take this as quickly or as slowly as you want. It's a whole season, it's 3 months practically to be able to get this Shadwo Cresselia done if you want to. There's no rush to get it completed on day 1. I am doing it here for the sake of showing you guys what is at stake during this event. Equally, as I said earlier, you don't even have to bother. If you want to save the Rocket Radar, the Super Rocket Radar, just make sure you don't complete stage 1 of this new research, because once you go past it, then you'll be locked into that specific research. This is how people have stacked up and got multiple Shadow Kyogres and Groudons, etc. But there you go. Persian in the bin. What's our Middlemon going to be? It is the Honchkrow. So since it's doing medium damage, I'm going to throw another Power Up Punch at it. This is the good thing about having a Lucario. Even if you have a level 40 Lucario and don't have a ton of XL candy to burn, still having Force Palm and Power Up Punch on it will serve you very nicely during these battles. In fact, are we going to be able to sweep through the Honchkrow? I think we are. Excellent. Should deal the damage. That's Honchkrow out. And here is Shadwo Cresselia for the very first time. Now let's switch into Giratina. As you can see, even though it's super effective, Cresselia is a tanky little so-and-so. That's why it fares better in PvP. Cresselia is nowhere, anywhere, on any tier as a raid attacker. You have to trade for it to get it under Great League from a raid regularly, but let's see what we're going to get from this one. Typically, all of my Shadow Legendaries that come from these Giovanni battles, apart from that one Groudon, that last time we had a Giovanni battle to take down, the final Groudon we did was actually a 93 Shadow, which was solid. However, Cresselia, we want low attack, high defense and HP, so we're probably going to get a 15-2-4. Let me know if you've got your Shadwo Cresselia already and what stats did it have on it. Or you're not bothering. It's entirely up to you guys. But there you go, Giovanni in the bin. We've only been out for about 2 hours and done and dusted. It's quite a chill grind. So, and here comes Shadwo Cresselia. Boom. And it's windy boosted, so 1034. I don't know. Actually, it's quite annoying that it's windy boosted because it means we're not going to get very low attack on it. There's the catch. So, is it going to be high attack? I hate being right a lot of the time, but there you go. 14, 12, 7 stats. So the wrong way around for PvP, but it's in the decks. But we will TM frustration off of it. We found the boss, we battled the boss, and we defeated the boss. So we get an encounter with, and I horribly think it's Aerodactyl. Yeah, there you go. Research, good chance to get a Shundo. Aerodactyl is a perma-boosted shiny, of course. The stage 5 should be auto-completed, and I'm not sure how I feel about getting 3 fast TMs, to be honest. I haven't made mention of the other 2 new shadows that are here. So the Gen 5 fossils are brand new shadow Pokemon, and the Archen you're going to find in rock and flying grunts, and Tirtouga seems to be in water grunts. Hallelujah, we found ourselves a Shadow Timburr, finally. There's been too many Makuhitas, as I mentioned, a couple of Machop, but apart from the fighting grunt that was here last night, this is only the second Shadow Timburr I've seen, and that is going to be the chase for the next 3 months. And honestly, the fact that that is now in the game is seriously good. And it's really nice considering actually last October was its community day. So we should all have a fair amount of resources unless you happen to miss that one. It can't be Shadow Shiny. It'll probably be Shadow Shiny in like 4 years' time. There's plenty of Shadow Shinies that need to come to the game, i.e. Swinner, Brolts, etc. However, 280? I think 283 was the one I got before, and it was actually like a dirty 2-star. This is what I like about a Rocket Grind, is it's completely free to play if you want to just chase the grunts. You just walk about playing the game normally, and you check the grunts, see what's around, and it's actually I find it very good fun. Yeah, dirty 2-star. It is an XL with 15 attack though, but a good Shadow Timburr would definitely be on the list. Quick, shiny Moltres chair. By the way, thanks everybody who popped into the raid stream. We did get a shiny on stream, and big shout out to Molly for jumping in and doing the duo. Nice easy duo on the Moltres. Hope you got the shiny, Molly, or maybe a hundo. Ours was trash. It's like 60 CP away from the weather boosted hundo, but it's not the dose of nice raw salmonella chicken, unfortunately. But let's throw one ball on camera and hope there's some more fighting grunts dotted around the Broadway again. Right, it's an off-camera catch, surprise, surprise. So of course this happens. I've got 3 10Ks going off. I'm like, I'll just whack a star piece down, see what happens. And I missed the first egg, and it's a shiny. As you can see there, it was briefly a shiny Amora, which is boosted for this event, which means you can get it shiny from the 10 kilometer eggs. You don't have to faff around with the 7s. There's a Tyrant, but that Amora, random shiny egg hatch, which is great. Haven't had one since New York Go Fest this year, and it's not a bad 3-star, but not groundbreaking. Hey, nice egg hatch, random egg. I was really thinking this would have to be a non-shiny video, to be honest, but hey, we hatched one to save the day. There's a Tirtouga. I'm not going to repeat the same mistake in the same video. So, 2 12s, 2 random 12s, 1 Pawniard not shiny, and the Sandal not shiny. It was worth an attempt. Oh! Yes! Okay, we've got ourselves a brand new hundo, people. Fantastic. I have never had that before. Hundo Sandal from a 12k. Come on, and the Pawniard's trash, but that, beautiful. I have never had a hundo Sandal from a trade or anything either, so brilliant. Eggs have delivered. Like, hatched 5 eggs and had a shiny and a hundo out of them. We're going to wrap up today's little Team Rocket grind here. So, nothing groundbreaking in terms of IVs for the shadows, but on the back of this, Timburr is reasonably difficult to find, and that was expected. Makuhita is by far and away the most common out of the fighting grunts, but Makuhita, Machop, very usable, and the Shadow Shiny potential, and then Timburr, brand new and insanely good to have. There's a smattering of other Shadow Shiny potential through the normals and the water grunts and other places, but there don't seem to be an amazing amount as there were last time around. I think Magnemite is a potential from the electric grunts. Good luck, everybody, for your Shadow Shiny grind or the Shadow grind or whatever you're going to be doing. Let me know if you're chasing anything specifically. And of course, Shadwo Cresselia, let me know if you're going to go and get it, and if you have got it, what did you get? But thank you very much to every single person who supports this channel through the power of Patreon. Without everybody on the rolling credits there, this channel and the content on it would cease to be. So thank you very much to every single one of you. You truly are amazing people, and I really appreciate your extra support towards this content that is produced. We won't be back out until Saturday and Sunday because Shadow Shiny Potential Lugia is the raid grind for that weekend. It's not a raid day, so don't expect them to be spawning every single gym over and over again. They are mixed in with other raids, so we may trek over to Central along with the King's Cross group to go and see if we can get some Shadow Shiny stuff on the Saturday, but that yet remains to be seen. But I'm definitely chasing that Shadow Timburr over and over and over again. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the like button below, and of course go and check out either one of these videos on your screen here. There's plenty more for you to continue enjoying, perhaps some previous Rocket Grind stuff, some Shadow Shiny things, and maybe check out when Lugia was featured last with the 24-hour grind session that we did, because we very well might be bringing a 24-hour session back for the World Championships event. There's some planning to do for that one, but Scuba Chew, there may be a session involved with that one. Looking forward to it, but until the next time, do take care.